Why being flexible in your married life is very important. Hi friends, welcome to Marriage Realities, a comprehensive relationship channel. Today's video is all about why you should be flexible and adjustable in your married life. Most of you do not know the importance of being flexible and adjustable in your relationship. You think that being flexible just meant giving in to your spouse. And you feel giving in to your spouse meant losing your freedom and individuality. So you forego being flexible towards your spouse. You can never be more wrong. When you're not flexible towards your spouse, your relationship will become too taxing and nerve-wracking for you. It is sad that you're more than ready to fight it out with your spouse rather than adjust with him or her. When you behave rigid and inflexible towards your spouse, you cannot enjoy a moment of peace in your married life. Your relationship will be flooded with innumerable problems when you become inflexible towards your spouse. When you're rigid towards your spouse, you always want things done your way. And your spouse too locks horn with you to have things done his or her way. The inflexibility you showcase towards each other makes even an ordinary conversation between you end in a vehement fight. Neither of you are ready to give in, and the result is bitter arguments and ugly quarrels between you. When you're too focused on having things done your way, you become rigid and unyielding towards your spouse. When you're rigid, you become adamant and unyielding. When you're inflexible, your day-to-day life with your spouse is constantly laced with fights and bitter arguments. Both feel jailed and caged in a relationship which is too hostile and heated up for your liking. Both literally crave for some happiness and contentment in your married life. Why is being rigid and inflexible dangerous to your relationship? It is because being rigid in your married life meant you're being stiff and unrelenting towards your spouse. These characteristics are red signals to your relationship. What happens when there's no flexibility and adjustability in your married life? You do not accept the individuality of your spouse. You take twisted meaning to every word spoken by your spouse. You do not like the way your spouse does his or her work. You do not accept your spouse as he or she is. Whenever you interact with your spouse, you do not have the patience to listen to his or her viewpoint. You feel you're always right and your spouse is always wrong. You do not agree to any suggestions given by your spouse as you feel only you know what is best for your family. You try to control your spouse. You do not cater to the emotional needs of your spouse. Can you see how inflexible you are in your relationship? Your spouse too behaves inflexible towards you. Both are ready to fight with each other rather than give in. It is because you want things done your way. And your spouse wants things done his or her way. You make your marriage a war zone as neither is ready to make adjustments. How will you feel if this was a constant scenario happening in your married life? I'm sure you feel upset with the way your relationship is shaping up. Your marriage is struggling to find its foothold only because you do not know the beauty of flexibility and adjustability in your relationship. You can enjoy your married life only when you are flexible and adjustable towards your spouse. Why is being flexible that important to your relationship? What is the nature of flexibility? Flexibility means pliable, bendable and adjustable. Your relationship with your spouse should also be flexible and adjustable. You can do away with needless resentment and bitterness between you only when you embed the quality of flexibility into your relationship. Are you surprised? Do not be. I will explain. Have you observed the tendency of water? Water has no shape or form. It fits easily into whatever container you put it into. Your relationship also should have the quality of water. It means that you should be very adjustable and very adaptable towards your spouse. Have you watched the flow of water in a river? The water curves, straightens and bubbles over the rock and flows according to the course of the river. If water did not flow according to the course of the river, it would invariably flood the area. Can iron have the flexibility of water? It cannot, because iron is rigid and inflexible. Iron cannot flow fluidly. It cannot also fit into a container. When you're rigid like an iron towards your spouse, you will cease to be pliable and flexible in your relationship with him or her. When you're rigid and hard as iron towards your spouse, your marriage will have all the components of an abusive relationship. So, make your relationship with your spouse be like the river water. You should adjust, adapt, and be flexible towards your spouse. Being adjusting towards your spouse does not demean you in any way. It just means you understand that your spouse will be different from you. This simple technique gives your spouse the freedom to retain his or her individuality. Your flexible nature makes you resist from thrusting your ideas on your spouse. Your relationship should have the flexibility of grass, my 80-year-old mother told me. What has grass to do with marriage? I asked my mother confusedly. When there is a hurricane, the big trees are uprooted by the velocity of the wind. But the grass moves according to the direction of the wind, and so it is not destroyed. My mother smiled at me. The grass survives even the violent hurricane because of its flexibility. But the big trees are too rigid to withstand the fierceness of the wind and are easily felled by its velocity, she further elaborated. Modern couples know how to earn lots of money. They maintain a fantastic standard of living. But it is sad that they know nothing about the importance of flexibility in their marriage, my mother concluded. Well, my mother had a very relevant point there. How exactly should you be flexible and adjustable in your married life? When your spouse is temperamental, you should adjust by keeping silent. When you are in your angry elements, it's the turn of your spouse to adjust. Let us suppose you want to go for a movie, but your spouse wants to go shopping. Your flexible nature makes you relent to the wish of your spouse. Your spouse might want to buy something which he or she had always craved for. You might think that it is a complete waste of money, but you let your spouse the liberty to pamper himself or herself because of your flexible nature. Your spouse adores you for this. Your spouse might want to have a day out with his or her friends. You do not make a fight out of it. You're flexible enough to allow your spouse to fulfill his or her wish. When you're tired, your spouse looks after your children and allows you the much needed rest. Your spouse might be feeling off mood and you understandingly give him or her the much needed privacy. You might want to watch your favorite TV show and your spouse willingly hands you the remote. Imagine the happiness you enjoy with your spouse when both indulge each other. When you're flexible and adjustable, your relationship has the qualities of water. Both fit into each other's mood. This is the topmost quality of a happy couple. But if you're too unyielding in your attitude towards your spouse, your married life is like a rope pulled too tautly. A too tightly pulled rope always snaps, doesn't it? Your relationship also breaks and snaps when there is too much of inflexibility and adamancy between you. Your relationship with your spouse should be easy and not taut. Can you see how flexibility makes you enjoy your married life? You'd be amazed how much your relationship with your spouse changes for the better. Did this video make you understand the importance of flexibility in your married life? Marriage Realities will have many such relationship eye-openers. Subscribe to my channel to understand your marriage in a new light. Press the bell icon for updates about my latest relationship videos. Make love forever until death do us part your relationship goal.